Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning.
This world can be cold and bitter. Feels like we're in the dead of winter, waiting on something better. But am I really gonna hide forever? Over and over again, I hear your voice in my head. Let your light shine, let your light shine for all to see. Start a fire in my soul, fan the flame and make it grow. So there's no doubt or denying. Let it burn so brightly that everyone around can see that it's you that we need. Start a fire in me. You only need a spark to start a whole blaze. It only takes a little faith. Let it start right here in this city, so these old walls will never be the same. Over and over again, I hear your voice in my head. They need to know, I need to go. Spirit, won't you fall on my heart now? Start a fire in my soul, fan the flame and make it grow. So there's no doubt or denying. Let it burn so brightly that everyone around can see that it's you that we need. Start a fire in me. You are the fire, you are the flame, you are the light on the darkest day. We have the hope, we bear your name, we carry the news that you have come to save. Only you can save. Start a fire in my soul, fan the flame and make it grow. So there's no doubt or denying. Let it burn so brightly that everyone around can see that it's you that we need. Start a fire in me. Start a fire in me. Let it burn so brightly that everyone around can see that it's you that we need. Start a fire in me. Start a fire in me. Let it burn so brightly that everyone around can see that it's you that we need. Start a fire in me. Start a fire in me.
It's fun. It's a fun trip. Thank you, Amy DeVinny, for putting that together. The video, that is, was awesome, wonderful, perfect song choice for what we're talking about today. I am so excited to share with you some of the highlights of our trip, and then we'll bring it all back to Jesus at the end. So far, we've done the trip so many times that there's really not a whole lot of... Hannah, are you crying? Okay, I thought you were crying. So far, we've done this trip so many times that there's really not a whole lot of turnover as far as differences in from trip to trip. Really, it's just the small details that kind of change everything. I will go ahead and kind of highlight some of the things that we did that are maybe different this year. Again, for the most part, I think our church really knows what goes on while we're there. And if you don't, I think it's better coming from somebody else and not from me. I think it's better that you ask somebody that went on the trip. Sheen, if you could go ahead and throw up that group picture. Find somebody in this picture and ask them what they thought of Casa. Don't ask me. I could talk about it forever. And I'm sure that others could too, but it's just such a wonderful trip. I will say that the first 3 years that we went, those people probably are screaming at us angry about how we traveled this time. The first 3 years that we went, we had a charter bus that would pick us up in our parking lot and take us all the way to the parking lot at Casa. That's like a 26-ish hour drive. And it's straight. It's using the bathrooms on the bus. Thank you, Jonathan Clem. It is the constant. You're not stopping for hotels whatsoever. And so the entire time you're traveling, you're just cranky, you're tired, you're sweaty, you're miserable. And then it's like, all right, get off the bus. All the kids are out back playing. Why don't you go play with them? And it's like, I really just want to take a nap. And so we did that for 3 years. And finally, we got a little bit wiser. And for several years, we would drive to Dallas, fly to El Paso, and then Casa would come and pick us up in El Paso, take us across the border, and we would do it that way. And then this year, we decided to get even wiser, and we drove to Dallas, flew to Chihuahua City, and they picked us up in Chihuahua City and drove us in about an hour and a half to Casa. I see Jackie over here clapping her hands. Guys, let me tell you, flying straight into Chihuahua was glorious. It was amazing. And I feel so bad for the three groups that did the charter bus because they have no idea how amazing it was this year. It was wonderful. Now, Casa, one thing that a lot of people know, maybe not most, but a lot, is they run on two separate wells. They have their own water supply. They have their own water filtration system, so their water's clean. It's Americanized. And so it's safe to drink. It's safe to consume. It is totally great. This year, one of the wells has run dry. They're actually digging it deeper to try to get some more water. So they were down to just one well. Didn't affect our water supply whatsoever. We were able to shower, cook, drink, all the things that we needed to do. It didn't affect us whatsoever. We didn't know that there was a shortage of water because there really wasn't a shortage. It was just, let's be a little bit wiser with it. And so one of the big things that we do every single year is our big water balloon fight. And they told us, since there's a little bit shortage of water, maybe let's not do our water balloon fight this year. And I was pretty disappointed with that because obviously it's a big annual tradition. We get excited for it. But I was determined, maybe foolishly, to set a new water balloon record. And we were going to have over 10,000 water balloons this year. And they are still sitting back here ready for us to go next year. So we tried to think outside the box, and that's kind of what you have on the picture behind me, is we did a powder day. And it's if you've ever done a 5K where you throw the colorful powder in the air, that's kind of what we did. And it's a big old powder day. It was a lot of fun. Several of us had these big bags just full of powder. But there was also these like little hacky sack things that were filled with powder that you could pick up, throw at people, pick it up again, and just keep it going. Now, the water balloons actually do hurt quite a bit, especially if some of the older boys decide to get a little bit of revenge on us. Santiago, Rogelio, some of these older boys that like to have a little bit more fun, they will chunk it at you as hard as you can, and you'll bruise and you'll get welts on your back. It's not fun. The powder does the same thing. Those little hacky sacks hurt. And several of us had red spots and bruises from getting just wailed at with these things. And it was a lot of fun getting the bruises. Somebody gave me a big bag of orange powder. Not really sure why they said I needed the orange. And as soon as we got them in a circle, handed them some powder, everybody had at least 2 handfuls of powder. We said, all right, 3, 2, 1, go. And we just start throwing it at each other. I get a handful, throw it at a girl, turn this way, and I just get blasted with blue powder all up in my face. It tastes terrible. It is not good. I don't recommend eating it. I recommend, as you're doing this, wearing some sort of sunglasses and keeping your mouth closed. Because it makes the mucus in your face fun for a couple of days, especially if it's blue. So we had a lot of fun with that. We did have our annual soccer game. That was a lot of fun. That's turned into a big deal. It may be even bigger than our water balloon fight because every year we march into the cafeteria and we just start chanting USA, USA, USA. We're trying to intimidate these children, y'all, because they're magnificent at soccer. And we need every psychological advantage that we can get because they're way better than us. And over the course of the years of us playing these soccer games against them, we have scored a grand total of 0 goals. We have never scored a goal against them, ever. And 2 years ago, we kind of sort of scored one. It has an asterisk next to it. It's because their coach had pity on us, joined our team for a few minutes, and he scored a goal against them. It wasn't even us, but we still counted it. We scored 1 goal against them. And we kept that a secret for 2 years until this year. Sheena, go ahead with the next picture. We scored 4 goals. 4 goals, y'all. Yes, please, round of applause. This is a big deal for us. This is a huge deal for us. Aiden Story, he's the guy on the far left. He's a friend of Porter Austin, lives in Houghton, funny kid. He was hilarious because he scored the first one and we ran up. Like I was playing goalie. We sprinted across the field, picked him up, and we were just hollering, screaming, hands up in the air. There was a clip of him scoring that goal. It was the best feeling in the world, y'all. Like I don't know that I've ever felt that much jubilation in my life. It was the best. And so then after that, we had 3 more goals scored. Ian McPherson, Reagan Thompson, and John Cornett. These 4 people are heroes to me. I got their autographs, and they started charging for autographs, and it's fine. It's worth the price. But man, it was the coolest feeling in the world, scoring not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 goals. Now, it doesn't matter that they scored 10, okay? We scored 4, and they were every time that we would score, they would holler at us and laugh at us and like, we're up. It's 6-1, and we're like, I don't care. We scored 1. Like, chill out. It's fine. It's not a big deal. And so we were feeling so good about ourselves after scoring 4 goals on Tuesday that we decided to challenge them again on Thursday, and we played another soccer game against them on Thursday, and well, we don't need to talk about it. But we scored 4 goals, okay? And it was the best. We also did our food distribution. This is something that we do every single year. The food distribution is amazing. In years past, what we would do is we would meet up and we would put together beans and rice and potatoes and carrots, just random vegetables and things like that. We would bag it up and we would walk door to door in the community distributing this food. Well, now that the church in Anahuac is thriving, they're doing great. Everything is now done at their church, and it's a central location. And so a day or 2 in advance before the food distribution, we'll have some people get in a vehicle, drive around town with a bullhorn with the windows down saying, hey, tomorrow at 2 o'clock or whatever at the church, we're going to have a food distribution come. We'll have hot dogs. There's a guy at the church, a member at the church, who volunteered to come make churros for everybody. That was fun. And we just have a great time at the church, and it's so much better now. Used to, you just go into the community, you give them food, say have a nice life, maybe say go with God or God bless you, things like that. But that was it. Now, you're giving them food, but you're also inviting them into the church, and they're making connections with church members, and they're seeing the inside of the church, and it's so much more because now they're getting spiritually fed as well as physically fed. And so the food distribution is a little bit different, but it's so much better because they come, they get a couple hot dogs, they get churros, they get a bag of food. Some groups will have clothes and offer them clothes and things like that. But it's such a great way for us to get involved and get to know their church congregation as well, because they come and help us out just as much. So food distribution is a special day. Another thing that was cool, it's been 2 years since we had seen Gil. Gil is the director of Casa. He and his wife Becky has some medical issues that she's endured for many years, and they're still progressively getting worse. So Gil, who's been the director there since like the 90s, has pulled back a little bit. They've moved to Colorado. And so last year we didn't see him at all. 2 years ago, we only saw him in El Paso at the end of the week. And so it hit me one day that about 25% of our group this year had met Gil. 75% have never met him. And it was just astounding to me that over the course of 2-3 years, our group has grown so much that this guy who is a rock star in my life, half our group or more than half our group had never even met. And so it was special because Gil actually came to Casa this week. And so we got to interact with both he and Pepe. Pepe is the new director. And they're just incredible men. I think I said in early service, these are like Hebrews 11 type guys for me. The Hall of Fame of faith. This long list of just heroes of the faith. I would put Gil and Pepe on there. They're the Mount Rushmore of just human beings I've ever met in my life. Two incredible, incredible men. And so we got to spend the week with both of them, and it was truly special. I didn't mention this because I went over in time in early service, but Casa de la Esperanza is growing. They're expanding. I don't have a whole lot of time to get into the details of it, but the state of Chihuahua. The state of Chihuahua is donating land to Casa de la Esperanza to build a second location in Chihuahua City, which is incredible. It's a huge, huge factor going forward. And so there's going to be Casa de la Esperanza Chihuahua. There's going to be Casa de la Esperanza Nahuac. And so groups going forward will spend time at both orphanages and have a great time there. The land that they're getting donated to them from the city, from the state, is about 5 minutes tops away from the airport. And on the way back, as we were leaving, we actually got to go by the site where it's going to be, or where it's potentially going to be. And it's beautiful. It's in a great part of town, a good kind of middle-class area, nice houses, nice apartments. Right across the street is a gated neighborhood, just a really great area of town. And like I said, about 5 minutes away from the airport. So just a wonderful location and a wonderful blessing that they're going to hopefully have fairly soon. One of the things that people like to know is the jobs that we do. Kind of a typical day while we're at Casa is in the morning, you do physical labor type jobs. Those vary depending on what the need is and what your group is able to do. And then in the afternoon, it's time with the kids where you're playing and doing powder games and water balloons and soccer and all that stuff. So the jobs that we did in the mornings this year, we had a group going to the church in town, and they were laying some subfloor on the second floor of the church. We had a couple of guys who were giving a facelift to the boys' bathroom, one of the boys' bathrooms. They were actually removing bathroom stalls and grinding off the rust and stuff and repainting them. While they were outside doing that, some other girls went in and gave it a facelift with some fresh paint and hanging some nice pictures in it and stuff. So a boys' bathroom got a good facelift. We have people that give English classes every single year, and so we had people who were teaching English. We had a group that was cleaning and organizing the barn, which is quite honestly the worst thing I think that we could do there. I did it a few years ago, and when I saw that it was on the list again this year, I did not volunteer to do that. I said, okay, who else would like to do this? It is a dirty job. It is a gross job. I don't envy anybody that has it because it is terrible. We had a great group that was doing that. They had masks, gloves, the whole 9 yards to keep them safe and everything, but they did a wonderful job cleaning and organizing the barn. They have basketball court that's got chain link around it. They play soccer in it more than they play basketball in it, go figure. And so after years and years and years of soccer balls hitting this chain link fence, the chain link was broken and stuff like that. So we had groups that were fixing the chain link fence around that. And then we had another group that was sorting and organizing, cleaning up what they call Home Depot, which is just their storage facility with all kinds of hardware and tools and things like that. So we had several things that we were able to do over the course of the week, and we had a group of incredibly hard workers, and they did such a wonderful job making everything look just beautiful and wonderful for the kids. We did have a prediction of a very rainy week, but it turned into a very beautiful week. It was actually slightly cooler temperatures than normal. Still got pretty hot during the day, but at night it definitely cooled off and it felt great. But Casa de la Esperanza is hot, and I mean on fire hot, on fire for Christ. Just such a wonderful place to be, and that kind of will help us transition into our sermon this morning. So if you would, open your Bibles to Revelation chapter 3. Our passage is going to come from Revelation chapter 3. And before we read it, I kind of want to give you a cool little backstory. This May, just a couple months ago, marked the 10-year anniversary of Emily and me being at university. Y'all were very kind, and it was such a touching day for us. I know I was leading singing that day. I came up here and I couldn't lead the next song because I was just full of joy and full of tears. It meant the world to us that just such a kind gesture was done for us. But before I got hired, I had an interview. On April 19th, 2015, I came to Shreveport. I led singing that day. I taught class for the youth group in the back here before it got remodeled and was just this big fellowship hall with the accordion walls and stuff. And then I taught another devotional at the Ike House's house for the youth group again that night. And one of the lessons that I taught for my interview lesson was on this very passage this morning. And so for me, it's kind of full circle that we're doing it. Now, when I taught it back then, I was reviewing my notes from then for my lesson today, and I actually hate how I taught it back then. In fact, I think I actually taught it incorrectly, and I'll kind of get to that in a little bit. So I'm very appreciative that they oversaw my blunders that day when I was teaching it. But it was a fun thing. In fact, it was funny. Emily cringed when I did it because kind of one of the closing points that I had for that sermon that day was a poker analogy. And probably not my wisest moment. In fact, it's kind of funny. We've got some people that would be rolling over in their Church of Christ graves today because we've got a poker analogy in the sermon. We did our communion backwards, and we've got a woman with a mustache leading singing. So anyway, again, very thankful that people oversaw my blunders. But we're going to kind of take a stroll down memory lane for me as we bring all of this together with our Casa lesson. So Revelation chapter 3. We're going to start in verse 14. And to the angel of the church in Laodicea write, the words of the Amen, the faithful and true witness, the beginning of God's creation. I know your works. You're neither cold nor hot. Would that you would either be cold or hot. So because you are lukewarm and neither hot nor cold, I will spit you out of my mouth. For you say, I am rich, I have prospered, I need nothing, not realizing that you are actually wretched, pitiable, poor, blind, and naked. I counsel you to buy from me gold refined by fire, so that you may be rich, and white garments, so that you may clothe yourself, and the shame of your nakedness may not be seen, and salve to anoint your eyes, so that you may see. Those whom I love, I reprove and discipline, so be zealous and repent. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. Anyone who hears my voice and opens the door, I will come into him and eat with him, and he with me. The one who conquers, I will grant him to sit with me on my throne, as I also conquered and sat down with my Father on his throne. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. So, There is an outline on your bulletin this morning. Number one on your outline, before we get started, we are going back July 11th through the 17th. Now, I know there's probably only about 40 people here that really care about that bulletin point, but it is always exciting because people always ask after this day, when are you going back? There you go. There you have it. There's next year's dates. So I need the Smiths, the Devinnies, the Harmons. I need Regina. I need all the people who went with us this year to go ahead, mark it in your calendar so that you can go with us next year. We do have 28 spots. That is my maximum for how many can go. And this year we had all 28. In fact, we had a few people on a waiting list to see if there was going to be dropouts after that. And so 28 spots. It's first come, first served, obviously. The youth group will get first priority, but there's your date. So, as we talk about the church at Laodicea, I kind of want to give you a little bit of a historical background, some context into what Jesus is talking about, because this is one of the blunders that I made 10 years ago. The location is in modern-day Turkey. I'm sure a lot of people knew this, but Laodicea is a very wealthy city, okay? They were known for banking. They were known for a textile industry. In fact, they were known for a medical school. And so it was a very nice city, very, very wealthy city. But despite its wealth, and this is number 2 on your outline, Laodicea was outwardly rich, but they were spiritually poor. They had a great appearance of being a wonderful church, having their lives together, being wealthy, being a good community to be in. But Jesus is telling them, y'all are spiritually poor. You are broken. You're complacent. And so as we break down this passage, this church that's going on, the things that are going on in Laodicea, Jesus calls them out very frankly and says, y'all got to fix this. And he uses harsh language like vomiting or spitting you out of your mouth. Let's look at verses 15 and 16 again. I think one of the mistakes in thinking as you read this passage is that Jesus is saying he would rather a person be hot or cold, and it's this idea of being your spiritual life, being spiritually hot or being spiritually cold, where they're either fully devoted to God or they're not devoted to God at all. And this is what I taught 10 years ago, which I cringe at and apologize for now, because that is not the case whatsoever, because Jesus is never going to say that there's a spiritual advantage to being a rebellious Christian. There's not. There's no spiritual advantage to saying, I am as cold as it gets. Instead, what he's saying is you kind of have to understand the imagery and the context of what's going on at the church at Laodicea. So, Sheen, if you could show the first picture. Here you see the city, and you've got 2 cities that surround it. You've got Hierapolis to the north, it's about 7 miles or so, and it's known for its hot springs. And then to the south or to the east, you've got Colossae, about 10 miles away, and it's known for cold waters. And those were pure, those were drinkable waters. And so if you can go to the next picture, they would have to pipe this water into Laodicea. They would have to get it from these 2 cities, the hot water from the north, the cold water to the south, to come into their city. Laodicea had the very unfortunate circumstance of having neither hot water nor cold water. And so as they're trying to pipe in this hot waters from the north or the cold waters from the south, the water was dirty, it was impure, it was useless by the time it got to Laodicea. And so Jesus is telling this church that the hot water, it's got use and value. The cold water, it has use and value. But you, O Laodicean church, you're lukewarm. You're struggling. You're not fit for healing with the warm water. You're not fit for drinking with the cold water. You're neither. You're lukewarm. And so, on your outline, it's not a call to be passionate or a call to be rebellious. Instead, it's more of a warning that you're valueless. You're spiritually useless. There's no reason for you to be there whatsoever. You're not helping with anything at all. And so he's revealing to this current useless spiritual state to the modern day, to the church at Laodicea, these Christians there. So why are these Christians there useless? What happened that Jesus says that he wants to spit them, or other versions will say vomit them out of his mouth? They think that they're rich because they've got material possessions, worldly possessions. However, they're not rich toward God. He says they're wretched, pitiable or pitiful, poor, blind, naked. These are not things that I would think of as somebody who's rich. They're lukewarm Christians because they've invested in God, in the world, but not God. And I think that's a problem that we as Christians in 2025 have today as well. That we spend too much time investing in our world and our worldly possessions and what other people think about us. And so we have this outward shell that makes us look like we've got it all together, but spiritually inside, we're like that water. We're useless. We're pointless. We're valueless. And so I jotted down some things that I think Christians in 2025, what would make us lukewarm. And if you're like me, I hope you are, that you're going to be honest with yourself. Because as I'm jotting down these things, I felt the pull of myself. I'm saying, yeah, I struggle with that. Yeah, I struggle with that too. And so I hope that something in here makes you pause and think, yeah, I'm lukewarm in that area of my life. So here's some things that I say lukewarm Christians do. Lukewarm Christians attend worship regularly because they think that's what they have to do rather than that's what they want to do. Lukewarm people tend to choose what is popular over what is right when they're in conflicts because they want to fit into both the church and outside of the church. Lukewarm people don't really want to be saved from their sins. They want to be saved from the penalty of their sins. They don't hate sin. They're not really sorry for committing it. They're only sorry because they got caught. They don't want to get punished for it. Lukewarm people rarely share their faith with their neighbors, coworkers, friends, family, whomever, because they don't want to be rejected. And they don't want to make other people feel uncomfortable by talking about private issues like religion. Lukewarm people gauge their goodness by comparing themselves to the world. And they're satisfied if they're not as bad as somebody else. Lukewarm people say they love Jesus, and Jesus is a part of their lives, but only a part, not all. They give him just a section of their time, just a section of their money, a section of their thoughts, but he is not allowed to consume every aspect. Lukewarm people love God, but they don't love him with all their heart, soul, mind, and strength. Lukewarm people think about life on earth way more often than they think about eternity in heaven with Jesus Christ. In fact, daily life is mostly focused on the to-do list, the schedules, next month's vacation, that baseball tournament, my job. I had a rough week. We don't think about our eternity. Lukewarm people probably drink a little bit less or swear a little bit less than the average person. But besides that, they're not really all that different from your typical unbeliever. They kind of equate their partially sanitized lives with holiness. And then lastly, I said lukewarm people walk by sight and not by faith. And they don't trust their lives to God, but they trust in what they can do for themselves and how they can prepare themselves and make themselves look good. And so I don't think that the church at Laodicea was really all that different than the church today. Because we look good. We look good. From the outside looking in, we look good. We look like we got it all together. We're here. We checked our box. We went to church. In fact, we went to church twice this week, on Sunday and on Wednesday. But really, what's the difference in us? And so Jesus walks us through everything. In verse 17, Revelation 3:17, he says, "You say I am rich, but you don't realize that you're wretched, pitiful, poor, blind, naked. Again, I need you to remember that this is a wealthy city. This is a city that's got it all together. This is a city that despite their wealth and self-sufficiency, they are spiritually bankrupt. And so the city that's known for the banking, the textiles, the medical school, all these incredible things, Jesus uses these as symbols to actually show them that they're spiritually poor, that they're spiritually naked, they're spiritually blind. And we got to look at this problem the same as they did back then. Verse 17, again, they don't realize that they're all these things. They don't realize that their lives are broken. So what do we as Christians do? How do we end this lukewarm disposition that Jesus wants to spit us out of his mouth because of? Well, number 3 on your outline, he gives us a number of instructions. He gives us step-by-step instructions of exactly how we need to change. In verse 18, he says, I counsel you to buy from me gold refined in the fire. Try to get creative with this point. Buy through Jesus. Don't buy through Amazon. The gold refined in the fire is a symbol for true spiritual richness. It is a faith that is tested, that is purified through the trials. And so he's inviting these people to seek a genuine wealth that only he could provide, that nobody else could provide. And so they first have to see that they are wretched and naked and all those other things. If you were naked, if you were poor, if you were unable to see, you would very quickly take care of the problem. You would go and buy clothing so that you would look decent in public. You would go do whatever you could to accumulate the funds to pay whatever bills or debt that you have. You would go and get your eyes looked at so that you could see. If you had a problem, you would figure out a way to solve the problem. These would be obvious things that we would recognize and that we would need to change and fix immediately. And so Jesus is using the same imagery of the church at Laodicea, that we need to take care of ourselves spiritually. And we need to address a problem that needs to be fixed. B on your outline, in verse 19, we need to listen to Jesus' corrections. I think sometimes we get defensive about the lessons and the teachings that tell us that, hey, this is the area of your life where you're struggling. This is the area of your life that you need to fix and work on. We get defensive. We get frustrated when people tell us, hey, you've messed up. And sometimes we ignore these difficult, sometimes teachings that step on our toes. We want everybody to leave feeling good and warm and fuzzy about themselves. And Christ says, no, actually, you need to hear these things. I discipline the people that I love. And so in verse 20, he says, I stand at the door and knock. See on your outline. Open the door. Jesus is portrayed as a visitor who is seeking entrance. And it's a metaphor that we've seen already in the New Testament. A metaphor of knocking that emphasizes that he desires a personal relationship with every single person. And the decision to open the door is an individual response to his invitation. D on your outline. Sit on the throne. Verse 21, to those who are victorious, they will sit with me on my throne. To those who choose to seek him, there is a great reward that we cannot forget about. Those who choose Jesus will be granted to sit with Christ on the throne. One of the consistent images that you see in these 7 churches of Revelation is how if they devote their lives to Christ, they will be victorious. And Jesus says that he will share the honor of this exalted position with us, with those who are victorious. It's like a king who's picking out a few of his subjects, saying that they can sit on the throne and rule with him. It's really an unbelievable picture, because there's no king in history that would say, hey, why don't you come and sit with me and rule with me? Just for fun. I remember when I was a kid, you'd have like principal for a day. And it was like the coolest thing in the world. And really the only thing that you got to do was like, no uniform today. But this is so much bigger than this. We get to sit on the throne with the creator of the world. if you're victorious with him. Jesus says he will share the honor, the rule with us. We are his subjects, right? We don't have any rule. We don't deserve to rule. But he says if you devote your life to him, that he's going to share his rule with us. And he rules over everything. He rules over all creation. I mean, if you go back, you got to look at how this whole passage starts with verse 14, right? He is the commencement. He starts all of this. He starts creation, and he's going to share that power with us. So what does this have to do with Casa? Casa is special, man. Casa is special. While we're there, we are totally 100% devoted to love. Every night, our group, when the niños go to take their baths and go to bed, they go to bed at 8. It takes them a long time to get showered and bathed and in bed and stuff. So they go to bed at 8. Every night that we leave them for the night, we come back to the English Center and we do a devotional, just our group. And we sing louder in the English Center, circled around 28 of us, 8 benches. We sing louder there than we do the rest of the year. If you don't believe me, several of the adults, and I think some of the teens too, would get out their phones and just record the singing at night. I've got some on my phone. I think Melissa's got some on hers. I know Christy Austin's got some on hers. If you want to hear something incredible, ask to hear the singing of our group at night. While we're doing these devotionals, we challenge each other, challenge ourselves to live lives that reflect the 7 or so days that we're at Casa. We share each night how we saw Jesus in other people in the group around us. And we always end our week at Casa by praying that the fire for Christ burns as long as possible when we come back to America. As Hayden read for us earlier out of Psalm 51, it's such a cool passage. We know this verse. We know this passage. It's David crying out to God, help me, I'm a sinner, because of his blunder with Bathsheba. And in the verses that Hayden read, he's asking God to restore a joy of salvation in him. And that's how we ended last week, and that's how we're ending today. Jesus desires an authentic faith, not complacency, not just going through the motions of going to church. He invites us to open the door to him, to live passionately, with zeal for him. And we are restored, we are renewed while we're at Casa. Our goal every single year that we go is to provide just an ounce of joy that they feel within us. And we are filled. So the challenge for us as Christians in 2025 is similar to the challenge that Jesus writes to the church at Laodicea. It's the same as what David is asking God for, and that is to reflect on the areas of your life where you might be spiritually lukewarm and pray that God ignites a fresh passion for him. Renew that steadfast spirit. Restore the joy of your salvation in Christ as we stand and as we sing.